Hello. I survived Christmas. It wasn't a big deal, but hope you all are doing well. I recognize several names in here. I didn't print out a sheet yet, but I know you know me, and I know I got a couple of people from a long time ago. So, um, so welcome, and I hope I don't bore you too much. I'll try to be clever, but I won't be too long-winded because that's my problem when I start recording. One night I fell asleep, had to throw that one out, although it would have been an interesting 2-hour video to watch. Okay, well, I've got the syllabus. Essentially, what it boils down to is we're just going to be looking at different ways to teach English as a second language to English learners. They've been boiling that down from limited proficiency students, and they wanted to get rid of that. English language learners was the next one, or ESL, and then they dropped it down to English learners, which includes almost anybody in the world that learns English at one point or another in their lives. So, all right. I'm going to, big things that I do introduce the culture map exercise. Now, some of you have already done this. So what I would propose is that you, instead of doing the exercise and just drawing a map of your own background, maybe you draw a map of your background specific in a certain perspective, like maybe your background in terms of academics in great detail. In other words, rather than say, well, I grew up on a farm and I like to read books, maybe you just say, I grew up on a farm, but here are the books I like to read, and really talk about your academic aspect of yourself. That would be very interesting. This cultural map exercise, which I got a copyright, is very valuable because you can adjust it. So I wouldn't ask you to, if you don't want to just do the straight laced one, showing your childhood or your whatever, your background, however you want to mention it. Some people could do their travel experiences. I could see if you were in a church situation, people could do a detailed spiritual map, which could be quite interesting. I mean, you think we're kind of usually in thinking of Christianity, but think about it if you had experience with other religions or you're from another religion. I would be really interested in seeing something about how a Muslim or how a Hindu interprets religion and talks about their childhood and what they did and customs and things. You could do it on virtually any topic. You could do it on hunting if you're really into hunting, your earliest memories of hunting. Sports would be really good. Your earliest favorite sports or ones you like to watch, ones you participated in. I could see a really interesting one be more private, but I guess it could be done if people were to discuss their gender identification, if they're, if that was an issue, or if that was something, it was whatever is a big player in your life, whatever that is. So it could be a military experience if you're in the military, or if you're specifically a math person, you could talk about math. Your first encounter with the square root of -1, which does exist, but it burns my head, makes me dizzy thinking about what is the square root of -1. But in different types of math, geometric forms and things, there are things that don't exist but do exist in some theoretical world. So if you want to change that assignment and do it from a different perspective, and I do want you to draw it out. I don't want you to act it out on a video. I've got some great ones that I've had students do in a 204 class, which I thought was a little boring. and I changed it. And so people talk about different aspects of growth in terms of academics. And it's this one. This one is I learned to ride a bike, or who did I hang out with? My social emotional development. When did you realize you wanted to be a teacher? There you go. So that's kind of a career one. And this one, another childhood map. So you can make these maps and focus on all kinds of topics. There. I don't have the ability to reverse anything, but I get confused. Okay, I'm getting a little older. I'm 70 now. So I noticed every once in a while there's certain things that I think about a lot, and then I can't remember what they were. Specifically vocabulary words. I'll know everything around them, but I can't name that word, the old tip of your tongue. Okay, so that's a cultural map. I do want you to do a couple of things. I do want you to interview an ESL teacher. Some of you may have done that before, and maybe you can interview somebody in your school. I will send you questions in a week or two, and give you plenty of time to do this. And I've also got a thing, I want you to write a paper about the way you would teach ESL, what you prefer. Teaching styles, you really have to match the strategy to something you're comfortable with. If you were to do some of the examples, there's a thing called the Dartmouth method or the Rossius method, and it involves intense talking and acting out. I mean, it's an exhausting lesson, and everybody in the class has to be up moving around the whole hour. And the expert guy was able to ask 1,000 questions in 1 hour of the 25 students in his room. He's teaching French, but you could do it in Chinese or English or anything. And you act out things. So it's kind of silly, but it's fun. Language learning's fun. And if you're up there having people say, ¿Cómo está el burro? Or ¿Dónde estamos, están? Oh, drill. My God. Why don't you just chain them up and torture them if you're going to do that to them? I've got a unit project, and I really want to emphasize that this is for your class. If you had ESL in it, it's wide open. I'm a very libertine person, wide open. So if you want to design an actual unit plan and lesson plans, fine. If you want to design a game, I love board games. I've got a bunch of blank boards over here, and I've been working on a game. Probably never get it all done, but the idea is it's a game for ESL teachers, and you present them with situations. And then it's kind of like one of those games where you don't have the correct answer written down. You have to make an argument and discussion. And it's more for encouraging collaboration and critical thinking. I give you a situation: a kid shows up, speaks no English, has a hearing deficit. And what do you do then? Interesting. I've had people say in some of the schools, they say we don't test non-English speakers for SPED until they've been here 3 years. I don't think that could be legal. I can't believe that. So I had a SPED teacher tell me it wasn't legal, but it's some policies. And then when it's kind of contrary to what should be done, people if you put pressure on them, they cave in. Unit project. So that could be about anything. We'll get to that later. The biggest thing I want to do, and I know some of you will not do this, but I'm going to ask for, I think it's 4 instead of 5. I got to correct that in the syllabus. But I want to have 4 sessions where you actually come in a small group or even individually, and you and I, or you and some classmates, we talk about specific issues. And I'm not really grounded on I'm not anchored on a certain issue. What's relevant to you? I found these chats like this very intense, very informative. I've learned so much about what goes on in schools that I would never know by going and visiting. No one's going to tell you the truth. You know, I've found places where they don't uh, permit or they don't give ESL students their classes. They just try to avoid doing anything for them. You know, I mentioned one time a school where that happened. Somebody wanted to know. I finally told them. I said, "Well, check it out for yourself," but I wouldn't take a job there. Okay, and then there'll be some weekly discussions. I'm only going to do 5 written ones, and if you don't do the live Zoom chats, then you'll have 4 more that are each a 2-page or 5-paragraph discussion over the topic. I'm just trying to get people to come on, and they don't have to write if they show up and talk, you know. Okay, so I'm going to mainly do this on what's called the PSYOP. I'll bring it up. Uh, Structured Instructional Observational Protocol, a sheltered instruction observational protocol, which is a way of that's research based of teaching ESL. And I like it. I won't go through every stage of it. It's got about 9 or 10 stages, mainly the first 4 or 5, all the way up to strategy. And then after that, most people do whatever they want to do. If you want to have kids do scenarios, if you want to have them just do drills, if that's what you want, you know, you're in charge. But I would strongly suggest that you consider um, investigating. I'm a big fan of differentiation. And I'm also going to mention some of those some are a little wacky, but like I mentioned, the Rossius method. There are several other ways people teach English or other languages as second or third or fourth languages. And they do it, and some of them do it playing very classical music in the background, and all you do is listen to someone read to you in French. Guy claims that it helps your ear really begin to listen to the syllables, even without really understanding the words, just to identify the sounds. One thing's true, you cannot produce a language if you cannot understand the sounds in the language. You won't even know how to produce them. And so Spanish is easy, it's very pure. But if we were to learn certain languages in other parts of the world, we would listen, and I've done this with Somali. I listen and I can't even understand the sounds. I literally can't understand the sounds. I don't even know how to classify them. I don't know if it's a B or an S or a Q. And it's because the sounds are made totally differently in the mouth. Okay. So I just didn't want to have a huge thing for you tonight, but I wanted you to have some, I want to make sure my heater isn't burning me up. Also, I'll be on to do some regular just talk with you, and I'll come on at night. Won't do it quite as much. I'll come on, and if you want to talk, and you know, some people I like to talk. So, you know, I'm old. Keep me alive. You know, talking to me makes me more comfy. It makes me know I matter. You know, I think that one of the best things you could ever do is to do Zoom with elderly people or people that are very isolated because not not criminals, dangerous prisoners, but with people that just need human interaction. Conversation's very comforting. I've noticed it, and um, a lot of people they really need it. You can't always tell. And the worst thing in society is to be isolated, shunned, or just ignored. That can cause despair. So, okay, that's basically it. Some of you have me in class, you pretty much know my modus operandi, and I'm not sure about this teacher interview. Um, I'll just have you get it to me in March sometime. I think I changed the date. If you notice something's not the same on one part of the syllabus, and then what we're going to be doing in each class, don't sweat it. We're not doing legal briefs here. No, nobody's going to be hung on the trial, so by a trial or anything. So I want to welcome you all, and I really look forward to talking to you. So I don't know some of you are new, and when you do the culture map, I want to give you the option. I already put it up in the discussion thread. If you did do the culture map, you can actually do a video instead of writing the discussion and put the video on there so we can hear you talking about your map, just like you're in a face-to-face class. I find that really cool. So I know some of you taught during COVID online with little kids. Well, I would imagine K to 12. I can't imagine how that would work unless you're practically like, um, I don't know, The Simpsons or somebody who's really, or Danny Go. I've got two grandchildren, so we watch Danny Go, and we watch Peppa Pig, and we watch Nature Cat, and I watch these so much I'm almost sick of them, but none of them are as bad as my wife's soap operas, which are probably the worst acting of all time. I don't know how those people make a living. Okay, see ya.